All right, team, welcome back to After Hours. We're going to have a banger show today, so make sure you stay until the end. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin breakout incoming. We're going to talk a lot about that. When will our altcoins pop? Things that I want you to know. Casper news, and I'm going to talk about 9 signs you should sell a crypto. You guys have really pissed me off this past week when it relates to Casper price, and we're going to get all into that and things that are valuable to you. So make sure you stay till the end. Maddie, let's talk about Bitcoin price here because Sunday and Monday were rough, okay? A lot of red. Tuesday, we saw buyer demand step back in. A lot of resilience there. And on the show yesterday, on the Crypto Charge live show on the website, you were talking about deep into the bear market. You were, retrospectively looking within that bear market time, and you pointed something very interesting out. Once we got into that bear market period, it was very hard for us to break over that 236 Fibonacci level. We hit it against twice. But once we broke out of that, Maddie, we double tapped it twice. Can you show the team what I'm talking about here? Because it kind of looks like what we're about to do right now. And my question for you, I have it written down here because I don't want to botch this. Is Bitcoin price mimicking what we saw in 2023, which would lead us to an 80K Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's one of the structures that we've been evaluating very closely here. The structure that's been forming now has been forming for over 100 days. So, it's been an extended period of time. In my opinion, this is one of the healthiest things the markets can offer is a more extended consolidation period. I know for, all of us out here, we're anxious, we're tired, ready to be out, done with the bear market, ready for new all-time highs. But, this is truly what price is supposed to do, especially after big sets of impulses like we've seen here with Bitcoin. So if we go with our Fibonacci retracement tool, you guys don't know about this, we got tutorials all over the website showing you guys how to use these fibs, make you guys the master of the charts. So we go swing high, swing low in here. We also had a little bit of a cumulative top in here. So this little level in here, right around $25,000. So big accumulative base formed. You get this breakout. You kind of like push into the 236. You break over it. You drop below it a little bit here, and then you finally get that break significantly higher. So you had quite a period in here of a consolidation. So get the top in here, and we really just, for the most part, moved sideways for about 200 days or so. So pretty extended period. Now, current market, we look at where we are now. You guys can see from when that consolidation started to where we are currently, we're about 118 days or so into this consolidation. So if we're looking at it both structurally and time-wise, we are mimicking things that we've seen in the past. Now, one of the big factors that we discussed on the show that makes this consolidation structure a little bit different than the previous consolidation structure, this one being here from March of 23 through September of 23, is that when we were building this floor of support, we were building it on top of that previous accumulation zone where we were unable to break resistance. That's a very, very healthy thing for price to do. Now, what we've seen recently is we saw an increase in 2024 where we pushed up another almost 100%. And you guys can see where we're building that floor now. Yeah, we are building it on top of these previous all-time highs in here, which is I really think is probably a better indicator of what's happening. But there's imbalance that got left behind here. So this got left behind as imbalance, and that's really where we should have created that reconsolidation. So this is where a lot of people are getting nervous right now. We do see buyers defending that 60K region, seeing that daily close yesterday. Above 60K was good. I was also talking with my other associate, Dan, about the monthly close. And if we're able to get a nice monthly close over 60K, that could be a better indicator. But we are seeing some very similar signs that we saw in 2023 in relation to consolidation before another big impulsive wave higher.
Last thing before I start shilling Crypto Charge, the last thing I want to talk about that you guys have been driving me, this is like one of the points that you guys were driving me crazy this last week, is again talking about when will the altcoins pop. And I just want to set some perspective right here for you when it relates to altcoins, all right? So some altcoins I decided to chart on my free time this weekend made it very, very clear to me that it is a timing thing. It is very timing. When we look at Polkadot was launched, and within a few days, it was 105 days. Well, within 105 days, we saw an 800% as Bitcoin was moving up in that December. And when we look at other altcoins, we saw XLM run ahead of Bitcoin before breaching, when I say run ahead, before breaching a new all-time high with conviction. This is what we're looking for right now. And so when we look in the past, XLM ran ahead of Bitcoin, akin to what Render did this cycle. And so when we look at XLM, it ran ahead of Bitcoin. When we look at Polkadot, it moved right with Bitcoin with a big impulse move. And then my other example here, I was telling Maddie this the other day, was BNB. BNB didn't do nothing until February. That's a whole month and a half later. So team, it doesn't all happen at once. It takes time for these things. Some run ahead, some run later, some run with. It all depends. So I just want to throw that out here because you guys are driving me, because a lot of this show, we're going to talk about Casper. And Casper, the questions that you guys been talking about, has inspired me to write out 9 things that should be signs or red flags that you should sell a crypto, because I don't think you guys really understand what you should be looking for when to sell a crypto. You guys see Casper price at 2 cents. You're like, oh my gosh, it's so deep in accumulation still. I should probably sell. What are you talking about? It has been within that accumulation range for so long, and you're going to get out of it after that great position you sold. What's wrong with the fundamentals? What's wrong with the tokenomics? Tell me something on that front, and then I'll consider selling. All right. You guys can see I'm very aggressive today, but let's talk about quickly before we get into Casper Labs, all the news we have for today. Become a Crypto Charge member, team. Maddie did the consistent investor strategy, and I said it was between 50 and 55 minutes, but it's actually only 47. So it's about the same length as the beginner's course we have on the website. So when you hop on the website and you know nothing about crypto, you take the beginner's course. That is your starting point. After that, I would highly recommend the consistent investor strategy. That is Maddie's strategy that was usually or used to be a 10-minute video, and now it is a 47-minute video, and it breaks down a lot, team. So you don't want to miss out on that. Click the pin link in the comment section down below and use code YouTube. And Maddie, what will they get from that?
Code YouTube will get you guys 50% off any membership plus a 30-day free trial. So, I know what it's like. I've probably spent over $10,000 in courses myself, trying to learn about the market. Some of them, good information, some of them bad information. So I understand that need to, want to see the program a little bit, get in the community to ask some questions before, you actually make that commitment. So make sure you guys use code YouTube at checkout. It will give you 30 days free plus 50% off. So it'll be either $49 a month or $49 for the year. And again, if you guys start on the monthly and you're like, damn, I really wish I jumped on the annual, no problem at all. We can get you guys upgraded and save you guys a little bit of money with that. So hope you guys are in there. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have. You guys get the opportunity for a whole month of, our live shows Monday through Friday. I don't think there's another show right now that does, or another program that gives you guys 5 live updates a week. And it's not just myself. I have some business partners that come on and provide the other insights. We're in the Discord 7 days a week. We want to really make sure you guys are supported. So I would implore you guys to at least check us out for their 30 days. It's not going to cost you anything.
News broke last week of a new CTO of Casper Labs, and I saw a flurry of naysayers. And Maddie, I'm just going to pin this up for you right now, Mr. Head Casper Honcho. Is it time to get worried about Casper?
No. This is one of the big topics that I think a lot of people grapple with. One, because a lot of people just don't have experience in a lot of professional corporate environments. When we look at CTOs or any big figures of large companies, you look at replacing a CFO, a CTO, a CEO, it's generally a very big move. And it's not necessarily a sign of weakness. Lots of, big important people will come into large equity companies that, like in the stock market, and, they'll be replaced with somebody else just because they moved on to another opportunity. But that doesn't mean there is something fundamentally wrong with Disney or Microsoft or Apple or any of these companies that you would never think about selling your stocks twice about if there's a change in CTO. Additionally, as somebody who worked in corporate recruiting for a couple of years, when you replace these people, it's, you generally want kind of like a contingency plan in place. So if there was maybe a news of, CTO dips and there was no plan to replace, or, they were out searching for them, that might have sparked a little bit of concern for me. But I know when you go to replace the CTO, CFO, CEO, that's generally like a 4 to 6 month search, because you're going to find a lot of good quality people. You're going to have some people where the salary doesn't line up. You're going to want to make sure that you find that right fit. And then we found out also in the Discord, that since February, this was been in the works to replace and move on. Within the tech space specifically, it is one of the fastest moving spaces when it comes to job hopping. And again, that doesn't, reflect on the fundamentals of any particular project. Coding specifically is probably the best example of this. So, a lot of coders will start, they'll make somewhere between 65 and 85K a year. You'll start as a junior analyst essentially, or a junior coder. They move on to get more experience. They will switch jobs on average every 6 to 18 months. So this is very standard in the tech industry. So, even seeing some of the main base that you see built, the code base for a single project, there's a good chance that 3-4 years later, it's a completely new set of coders working on it. And this is just a very, very normal thing in tech. most of these guys want to get to up to making 250, 300K a year plus bonuses. And the only way to do that, especially within a tech space like this, is to job hop. So to me, it's not this weird thing. It's very normal. We've even seen other, heads of foundations of good quality projects that nobody poo-poos on now leave and go move on to other opportunities. It's very, very normal in the space. In fact, it's even more normal in tech than it is in other industries. So not something that concerns me. Of course, we always want to keep an eye on the project. The main thing when we're looking at a team is want to make sure that we're not getting in bed with a bunch of fraudsters, right? Obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We can't do a background check on every person who joins a team. But we're basically just looking for huge red flags when it comes to a team. We don't really have that with Casper.
Absolutely, Maddie. We'll get into it a little bit more in a second here with what the CEO had to say in the Telegram channel on Casper. It got posted, and I was like, oh, well, then this should be fine then. But I want to tell you, for you guys that are tripping over Casper Labs getting a new CTO, I want to show some past examples of some other CTOs that, were appointed. So here we go. July 2022, Algorand appoints new CTO. May 2024, Cardano welcomes new CTO. October 2023, Tether appoints CTO as new CEO. June 2023, meet Kraken's new CTO. Welcome to tech, baby. Did any of you sell your Algo or your ADA? I don't think so, right, Matt?
Right. No, guys, those are a lot of great examples, first of all, Gavin. But, it really comes down to, I think that's being spoiled with some really prominent figures, like even like within Ripple and XRP, right? Like we're very privileged that Brad Garlinghouse has been here the entire time. We're very privileged that David Schwartz has been here the entire time because not only are they knowledgeable, but they're very good at, translating some very complex things to the everyday person, whether it be investors or people just trying to learn about DLT. So I understand there can be like a little bit of an emotional response. You feel like somebody's abandoning you, or the project's no good now because they're moving on to other opportunities. But that's not the reality most of the time. If you guys think about your own life, and you look at your skill sets and all these different things, and there's other opportunities out there that are greater than what you're working on currently, it doesn't mean that the current opportunity is bad. It just means you are moving on to other things that better fit your goals. So it doesn't bother me at all. Again, if you look at the resume of the guy that's replacing her, been in fintech a long time, been in code for a very long time. Not somebody that I would be concerned that, hey, this ship's going down because we have a new leader here. Sometimes too, it can even be a good thing because you have all these fresh ideas coming in, and you have a lot of new energy with a change like that. So I would actually look at this on the positive side, and maybe you see that we can get some different momentum going with the new CTO.
Let's get into it. Casper, new partner, new CTO. Casper Labs names Greg Whalen as CTO. So there was a transition. I was talking to Maddie about this yesterday, and what has he seen? Because he has a lot of background. He has many years ahead of me. And he was just talking about this transition period. And within the Telegram on the Casper Telegram, the CEO wrote a decently lengthy tweet about how this was in the works since February. So this was a transitional period. But if you look at historically about Casper, this really sounds like shilling here, Maddie. I'm getting tier 1 shilling right here. I wish I was getting paid for this. I just care a lot about Casper. But where Casper has come from the last 6 to 8 months is different than where it was. It's been fine-tuned, adjusted, built for enterprise, but now we're looking at AI governance with their main tool, Prove AI right now. That's being slapped right on the watsonx governance platform with IBM. So if this was in the works since February, no real surprise here, all right? And it's funny because, Maddie, you started talking about because I have written down here 20 plus years in tech leadership experience, right? And
that's phenomenal.
It was so funny though. It was I was listening. There's someone else in the Casper community that I don't really like, but he was just talking about we don't know anything about this guy when it comes to we know he's here because of Prove AI. We know that for a fact, right? But it was just it's like your baseball team. You guys get a new player. It's like, oh, this guy's gonna take us to the finals or the championship or whatever it is. Well, hold your horses. It's still a team effort here,
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. But he will lead Casper Labs development efforts, including Prove AI. So this is the direction Casper's headed in, and I'm all in, right? So
I love it.
Casper Labs as a team, if there was some team worries, betting on the team is actually very important because crypto is so new. Crypto is changing all the time, and these projects are changing their roadmap. They're changing the direction they want to take. Well, the companies are changing the direction they want to take their companies in, and the networks is constantly adding value to. Maddie, give an example of what you were talking to me about yesterday with Bitcoin.
Yeah, so a lot of people look at the original model of anything, right? And they go, oh, I can't believe they changed all these things. But especially with tech, you're going to just have to make these adaptations. When you look at Bitcoin in 2008, vastly different market, very low liquidity, exchanges were practically non-existent. And Bitcoin was meant to do one thing and one thing only. And that was to basically be digital money, right? Being able to send a store of value to another individual without permission from a third party, right? And it is a beautiful concept. As a libertarian, I hold that sentiment very near and dear to my heart. But then you look at the evolution of Bitcoin over time, and we have ordinals and we have runes, and we're going to be trying to add smart contracts, and we have the Lightning Network that now helps along and scales. And some people who are purists in the Bitcoin community don't like the Lightning Network because it's not doing exactly what Bitcoin was supposed to do in 2008. But we also have to adapt to some of these changes, right? You think about when Bitcoin was created, I've given this example many times, we were still on 1080p. That was the pinnacle of resolution at the time that we were looking at, right? So I want you guys to think about where we were tech-wise in 2008 versus now, right? Smartphones, technology, overall hardware, through the roof when it comes to development, right? Exponential curve. So you have to understand that crypto will be the same way. You're going to have, ecosystems that change direction a little bit. You're going to have projects that change direction a little bit. Now, of course, you don't want to see that go in the complete wrong direction where they're just, they've lost all sight of the main vision. With Casper, you can still do all of the things that we've mentioned before. It's still a smart contract platform. You can still mint anything you want on there, whether it be real world assets, virtual assets, whatever they are. Changing your focal point to something that's very important right now, which is AI. And we are going to continue to see the AI sector ramp up both hardware-wise and technology-wise when it comes to DLT. It's very, very smart, in my opinion, to highlight that feature that's available already with your existing product and ecosystem.
Yeah, just to kind of jump ahead here, I was, going through the Casper website the other day, and I saw if you go within the resources, you can see what they're collabing on with other projects, with other companies. But within that, they're writing about legislation, and they're writing about regulation, and they're writing something about the EU AI Act. And this is very important because on March 13th of this year, the EU AI Act was formally passed into law. Broadly, it aims to introduce a clear and ethical framework for how organizations will work with artificial intelligence. So Casper is well aware. I know we're Americans here, but just thinking about the EU, we got to think about the broader, terms of crypto here. EU, very big place. And so when we talk about, regulation, and Casper is already looking at that and looking to change the direction of the project in relation to regulation, foreseeing it, because this is going to change in Q4 of 2024 in the EU. And it's looking for a grand change in 2026 when it relates to AI. And this is why Casper is on top of AI governance. They saw an opportunity and they're taking it. And I quickly want to mention, we had a very busy show a couple weeks ago, and I talked about the IBM Think event. And I wanted to mention that Casper has a new partner with the partnership with the tool Prove AI, the Casper's tools Prove AI, but they're partnering with a company called Grayscale AI. And what's Grayscale AI? Inspection as a service company. The goal, AI-powered food inspection. So when I talk about these things, I know yawn or whatever, it gets really boring, but this is like the projects we want to invest in, because later on in the show, you're going to see our reasonings for reasons why we don't invest in certain assets, signs that make us run away from assets. But something like this makes us run to assets. When we're talking about an AI tool like Prove AI that's going to detect foreign material detection within food, pharmaceuticals, within the food, it's, proteins, dairy products, pet food. This is all going to be used with Prove AI in this company. So this is real world utility. These are assets that I like to buy, buying the Casper token in support of the Casper network. Sort of. But the question here is Casper still legit? Okay, so Maddie, Casper is leading in the field, especially when it talks about AI governance and blockchain paired with AI. And there are a lot of naysayers. So is Casper still legit?
Yeah, I absolutely think it's still legit. We've seen a lot of progress on the overall roadmap. They have released multiple updates. It's not a stagnant project, and there's a lot of coins out there that have gone up and they don't actually have any real development happening, right? I think I read something that one of my moderators, Dustin, I think dropped in the group, that I think since the top of this year alone, over 5,600 coins or something have come onto the market. And some of them are just going to launch at the right time and they're going to go up. I just never want us to look at price action and say, this is a direct reflection of the tech that's being built here. You look at Amazon kind of in the early days, there was a lot of sideways bullshit action that really frustrated a lot of people and then just went absolutely ballistic for decades. and I'm not saying that everything goes up for decades. Markets move in cycles, and I do expect that we will, after this, blow off top, get another bear cycle. That is, an inevitable thing. It's part of the market cycles, and it's a healthy thing to do. But I think it only takes maybe a 7 or 8 cent Casper to convince everybody that this is the bee's knees. This is good tech. We are going to see $1, $2, $3, $4. It's the price that really will let people dictate how they feel about a certain project, and they won't do any research beyond that. Do your own research. For a lot of people, means go search XYZ price predictions. And we don't do that, right? Like we'll use targets, and we'll mark it all out. But a lot of people are looking for that day by day. This is when it's going to get there. It's going to do it this fast, and as soon as they release this update, it's going to happen. And unfortunately, guys, we don't get the privilege of knowing all of those things, right? If we did, we would all be the best traders in the world. We'd all be worth billions of dollars, and we'd be able to do whatever we want. So the reality is, a lot of this is just patience. A lot of it is conviction. A lot of people thought that I was a crazy, idiot, stupid person for holding XRP through that entire cycle, and told me it was an unregistered security. Like, you're betting on the wrong horse here. Wrong, completely wrong, right? Especially when you fully understand what you're invested in, and you understand a little bit about what's happening from a regulatory landscape. It's easier to have more peace within yourself when you invest. So again, I'm not telling you guys what to invest in. This is never financial advice, but I'm not going anywhere with Casper, and my DCA for Casper is still very much on.
So we had to speed run through that Casper topic because obviously that conversation is going to set up what we're about to discuss, because I don't think you guys understand real red flags within crypto projects. So here is my 9 signs that you should sell a crypto. And this is very important because we're going to look internally here. It's not just going to be all in the project here. You have things that you need to look internally to see if you're even ready to buy crypto, honestly. And I'll give you examples here in a second. So let's start at number 9 here, Maddie. Wait, let me get you.
Get me plugged in here.
Let me get you in here. I took a lot of notes because I was like, honestly, Maddie, I was rampaging, like typing. Was it last night or the other day? Because I was just so fed up with this conversation because I keep hearing about prices, Gavin. It's like, what are you even talking about? We're in such a new asset class, and you're complaining about a 2-cent Casper. Maddie was calling for a 2-cent Casper months ago. Maddie was begging for a 2-cent Casper. Now we got it. now we got it, and you guys want to jump ship? So here's the deal here. Let's get into, we're going to start from 9, and we're going to work all the way to 1. This is how I would feel, least important to most important, all right? You don't know anything about a crypto? Get out. Honestly, just get out. Maddie, if your money is on the line here, if you don't know anything about crypto when it relates to exchanges, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, if you do not know these things, I don't even know why you're investing in crypto, to be honest, because you heard on Twitter that it was a good, fast money scheme. Is that why? And I'll get into later examples here. But Maddie, if you don't know anything about crypto, is it wise to buy crypto?
No, you definitely need at least a little bit of education. You need to understand that these tokens are not stocks, right? Like, you need to understand that there's different ways to store them. You need to understand that all these different coins provide different value. And, just because something is labeled as this vertical, it certainly doesn't mean it's the absolute best within the vertical. There's a lot of moving pieces in crypto. Now, if you invest a little bit of time into your education, I'm not even talking about a year or more. I'm talking about even investing a couple months into just learning about this stuff and kind of being immersed by it. You're going to have a lot better of a sense of, what you actually be getting after, how you're going to distribute your dollars. No need to rush into it. Like you said, money's on the line. I work hard for my money. I always think about every hour I work, putting that into the market. I want to be as diligent as possible with that, right? Because those hours are hours I can't get back. Those are hours I can be spending with my friends, family, whatever. And I'm choosing to, obviously earn money and put that into the market to make that grow. So that's what we're after here, is long-term growth, not windfall profits.
You don't have patience? Get out. And this one was honestly inspired by Maddie a way long time ago, because people have this idea when they step into crypto that it is quick money. Wrong. It is not quick money. Look at any other asset class. Is those quick money? And now you step into crypto. Now you think, oh, I invest today and I should expect profits tomorrow. That is just not the truth, guys. And if you have been around us for a while, you can see that through the charting. And here's some examples. Here's some great examples of why you need patience. Bitcoin was under 27K, below the 23.6% Fibonacci. If you know us, we are Fib boys, and that gives you a great guide and a great range for where you should be buying assets. So under 27,000, pretty decent price to buy Bitcoin. That was for 280 days. That is closer to a year. So you're telling me that you have to sit through 280 days buying and buying and buying? Yes, you have to. You absolutely have to. Here's another example. ETH was under $1,800. Again, below the 23.6% fib for pretty much under about 400 days. So 400 days of accumulating ETH, you were below the 23.6% fib. That is over a year. These things take time, and if you are not patient, you shouldn't be here. Okay? For you guys that, again, naysay our assets and what we're investing in, that's not what I'm doing. Honestly, you guys hear me every single week. I'm buying these assets because I have done the research. I know what these projects are about. I know what this token is about. We're in such an early asset class that buying these cryptos, these mid to small cap cryptos, is worth it for me. It really is, Maddie. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's always easy to look back and go, oh, well, that was the spot to buy. When you look at these accumulative ranges, those were the times to buy. That we have a lot of alts. I would say most of the altcoin market is still very much in an accumulative range. And being consistent with that is absolutely key to having the most success you possibly can in a bull market. Patience is absolutely key. The great Warren Buffett says investing should not be exciting or fun. It should be boring. It should be like watching paint dry. Now, of course, we're a little bit more hands-on with our investing than the everyday investor who just piles some money into the S&P and the Dow and whatnot. So there is a little bit more, activity required. Keeping up, tactically adding, but the actual return process, making higher highs and higher lows can sometimes be a slow boogie. So you got to have some patience. That's the reality of the matter. We've been privileged and sometimes maybe had our vision distorted when it comes to how fast profits should come, because crypto is a fast moving market. It's open 24/7. But nonetheless, patience is still very much required. And lots of people do make mistakes where they do all this hopping around. By the time they're all hopped around, they've spent all this money in transaction fees right back where they started, and then that coin that they initially rotated out of has taken off 2, 3, 4x, right? Like don't do that to yourself. Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
All right, Maddie, this might be my most controversial one so far, because when I talk to people, they don't have a game plan. And here it is. You don't have a plan? Get out. Why? Here's a good example, Maddie. If you were to watch this show right now and we inspired you to buy Bitcoin, I don't know why you would be inspired to buy Bitcoin, but let's just say you were. You're buy your first crypto and it's Bitcoin, all right? You must not be watching the right show, but you were inspired nonetheless, all right? You're inspired to buy Bitcoin, all right? Bitcoin's at $60,000 right now, okay? If we see Bitcoin within that 150K to 180K range as a market top this cycle, do you really think you're going to be able to have the mindset to sell? You are absolutely not going to be able to sell. You don't even know where we came from. You weren't with us in the bear market. You buying right now, you have to get a skill. It's called swing trading. Do you really think you're buying your first crypto, you're going to be able to swing trade? What do you think, Matt?
I think that we said no attention as kind of the title here, but almost, not as an alliteration, but no intention is probably almost a better word to use here. Understanding what your goals are, having a plan fully mapped out is definitely something that you have to agree with on yourself. You hear me talk all the time about trading journals and having an Excel sheet, but making sure that you're able to actually commit some time to the charts, making sure that you're actually able to commit some time to some research and staying up to date with what's going on with the ecosystems that you choose to be involved with greatly changes the total success you're going to have in this market. So I do believe that the average person can probably spend less than 20 minutes a day being involved in the markets, being involved in the updates and be educated enough. Obviously, what we do at Crypto Charge helps accelerate that process greatly because we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, doing a lot of the research, we're doing a lot of the updates, but at least being able to take what we're talking about, pin it up against charts, make sure that still makes sense for you is a very important piece. And it does add some intention and attention to your overall investing. So I think it's absolutely crucial to, at a minimum, have TradingView. And then also, make sure you're investing 15 to 20 minutes a day. I don't think that's a huge investment. That can even be 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. And just keeping it top of mind, just like when you're trying to learn a new language, that immersion therapy, that constant practice is what's going to make you better faster.
No attention, get out. And here's a perfect example of this, because you guys mistake attention. You guys look at Casper and they're like, oh, Casper Network Twitter account isn't posting enough memes. They aren't garnering the 18 and 19-year-olds, okay? Guys, you're thinking about the wrong attention. Here's a good example, right? One of our first guests on the Crypto Charge live show on the website was like the CEO or like a head guy at Gather Network, okay? Have you heard of Gather Network recently? You have not. You want to know why? It's because the price is not, I can't even chart the price on TradingView. And if you go to their website, it's basically down. They are inactive. And when they came to us on the show, it was great value here. Ad-free browsing, Gather runs in the background of their site. It's a change in digital monetization, very different than YouTube. And so you listen to all those things. I was like, wow, I would think about buying this asset. I'll think about buying this asset. They could not garner any attention on Twitter. They couldn't garner any attention. And it's great if you can create a great project, but nobody knows about it. What are we doing here? Very different from what Casper has done. Very different. Right. You guys gotta separate the two quick here, all right? Because it ain't about memes, it ain't about any of that. It's about creating a good product and then selling it to a mass audience. Casper, in some respects, has done that. Gather Network did not. Okay, and it's just funny. I went to go chart it. I was just inspired to look up that because I was like, when I was writing this, I was like, when it comes to this no attention thing rubs me the wrong way because people say all the time, HBAR or Algorand or a lot of these ISO 20022 tokens or, Casper or any of these other tokens we talk about regularly, they're like, oh, they don't garner enough attention. They don't garner attention like Casper. They don't garner attention like Render is right now. And it's like, this is all in your own mind, guys. This is all in how you are perceiving it, okay? Next thing, anonymous team get out. Maddie, I think you talk the best when it comes to this. Give me, because this is meme coin land when we start talking about anonymous teams. If the team is anonymous, is it time to get out of the crypto project?
It's time to never get into the crypto project. A docs team is absolutely essential. I want to know if piece of shit like Richard Hart is behind the project, right? Like that's an automatic red flag. And Hex community, I'm sorry for you guys, but y'all doubled down on him and, definitely rug pulled you guys hard. I have very, very high conviction that he will face some pretty big penalties in court when this is all said and done. I don't think that pans out into, good publicity for the project either, any of the chains associated. So, again, like we talked about, it's okay to have an evolving team, but we want to know who the team is and we want to make sure they're not just walking red flags and huge fraudsters, right? That's at the minimum, just do that much, right? And that's unfortunately the case with a lot of these memes and even some NFT projects. It's completely anonymous and you do not know if these people have your best interest at heart because you don't know who they are. So for me, no docs team, no investment.
This is my favorite one. No product, no utility, no value, get out. Honestly, just get out. And I say this because if our strategy here is, looking at these cycles in the short term, because this is considered short term, intermediate term for this next bull run, but we want to build a long-term portfolio to where we're able to borrow against our assets, okay? And so you are very quick to spend that money and get that meme coin, and I hope you get the profit in the bull run, but that is not setting you up later on for a long-term portfolio that you can borrow against. And that's one of the things that I can't get on board with. Get out, because I'm here to build a portfolio. Am I going to take profits at this bull run? Absolutely. But you guys already saw my API 3 example a couple shows ago. I'm keeping a portion of that API 3. I just am. I want to see the future. I want to foresee the future. Crypto is already so lucrative. And when you invest in meme coins, you're adding factors that are making it more risky. Okay? And if I'm looking at a team that is offering no utility, that will not be around for the long run. Okay, very few meme coins have made it. We talk about SHIB, we talk about Doge. I made my predictions a couple shows ago about WIF and Pepe. That's really going to be it. That will be it. And over time, over multiple cycles, there will be meme coins that stick around. For me, that percentage is too high for me to invest in. It's too scary, right, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. And for some of you guys, you're probably going to tune out when you hear this kind of stuff because you're like, no, I've made some money on meme coins, or I know somebody made money on meme coins. I know people who have lost their entire net worth in meme coins, right? Like it's there is the other side of it. It's just like when you go to the casino and you hear or you see on TikTok, these guys who are professional gamblers and like, I walked out with 200K today. Like I made your 4 times your yearly salary, whatever. But they don't talk about the huge L's. They don't talk about people whose entire lives get ruined from gambling, and getting addicted to that dopamine of, the instant returns and the astronomical returns as well. So, just understand that you are introducing a very high level of gambling when you choose to invest in the meme coins, compared to something that actually has a promise of utility, versus just literally the only thing that meme coins are supposed to do is go up, right? So if there's nothing else holding it up long term, we get regulation that comes into the market. You don't want to be on the chop block when the government decides, hey, meme coins are no longer allowed, and now all these projects go to zero, because who's going to want to buy your meme coins if the government says, that they're, unregistered securities, or, that they're defrauding investors, or whatever it is, right? Like, even if you believe that the community project is fine, it just takes one regulatory swoop to crush things. You know how I know this? Because I was in a legit project that got crushed by the SEC. Obviously we're still here, we're able to move forward because there was some long-term utility, and that's the only reason I didn't sell my XRP, because I knew that it was all BS. I knew that they weren't actually breaking any laws, and that there was an incredibly high level of utility for XRP. I cannot say that about these meme coins, right? So I just want you guys to be aware that if you have these huge meme coin portfolios, it just takes one regulatory swoop to absolutely clean your clock.
Bad tokenomics, get out. These things matter. Token allocation for a project is important. What does that look like? The team, the investors, the company, the community. If the vesting schedule, if the lockup periods are shady, I would not go near that crypto. I wouldn't, Matt.
Yeah, with tokenomics, there is lots of moving pieces to it, but the vesting schedules and the cliffs are going to be something you guys want to look at. So if something's brand new, right? And I know that, like we talked about, almost 6,000 new coins have launched this year. So like, there's a lot of brand new stuff out there. Not even all of them are meme coins either. So there's a lot of competition coming on board. One of the big pieces in tokenomics you want to look for is total circulating supply. So how many coins out of total available are on market right now? And then out of the ones that are not on market, where are those distributed to? And if there's a big chunk that's distributed to, ICOs or initial coin offering, investors, you want to know what those unlock schedules look like. So let's say 10% of total supply is on the market right now, and you see that 50% of the supply was sold to via ICO to early investors. You want to look at that vesting schedule to see what is the earliest date they could possibly do this unlock. So if it's in 2 or 3 months, maybe it's a good idea to hold off and kind of let some of that coin come onto the market and then let price work itself out. Let's say it's 24 to 36 months. All right, well, maybe you can get involved now because those token unlocks are not happening for another 2 to 3 years. They're just things to consider when you get in. Obviously, there's other parts of tokenomics as well, but there's a lot of red flags that you can see there that can maybe immediately depress price for you if those unlocks happen too fast.
I like this quote right here. It's from medium.com, and it says, vague explanation or inaccessible tokenomics details are a sign of a lack of transparency. And we already know what cryptos I'm referring to when I cite a quote like this. It is a lot of these newer ones, these Solana base, or these meme coins, these community coins, these culture coins that keep people in the dark, that are just developing their roadmap after they got their token launch, and they're making changes to the roadmap. And the roadmap is to go viral on TikTok. Guys, stay far away from it. Paid Shillers? Question mark. Get out. I gave an example a while ago. It was about Bryce Hall, the influencer Bryce Hall, and he got paid to like and reply to a tweet from a Solana-based meme coin. Let me be calm here. If the project that I'm buying a token and these people are shelling out money to pay for that, that is asinine. That is asinine. If I had ever heard any of my projects doing that, I would be out. I would be all the way out. That is stupid. You know why? Because that's just short-term money being thrown out to garner a little bit of attention. That is stupid. There's a couple people that have been caught up in some of these. Floyd Mayweather was another of them. There's just so many high figures right now that get this quick money, like and respond, and all of a sudden that gauges an audience with 18, 19, 20-year-olds on YouTube, which is foolish. Very, very foolish. I could never, ever buy an asset with a team behind that was throwing out dollars for something like this. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, we don't do that here, and we do that for the exact reason that you were talking about, is to keep our integrity and know that everything we talk about here is genuinely what we like and our opinions and based on our research. So, anytime you see a paid shiller out there, that's generally not a good thing. Now, there's nothing wrong with somebody on their show saying, "Hey, I was sponsored to talk about this coin, and here's my honest review." At least you're being transparent about it there. But telling everyone go buy this thing because it's the next best thing since sliced bread, that's generally a big red flag, right? So try to stick, if you're going to stick with, reviews that are sponsored, make sure that, you check out the creator, understand, make sure that they're being, objective, and look at some other videos as well, see if they just kind of have the same formula, because you don't want to get sucked into something that somebody is receiving direct compensation for. Main reason we never have advertisers or sponsors at CryptoCharge.
All right, Maddie, this is the number one thing, and this one has irked me for a long time. We've been talking about this next one for about 3 years now. Promises of return, get out. Maddie, take the floor with this, because we're just talking about Hex. Give the Hex example.
This is easy one, guys. So first of all, what's the main thing the SEC goes after right now? So if you guys are not familiar, Howey Test is a 4-prong approach that they use to determine if something is a security or not. Does it actually apply? Maybe yes, maybe no. You want to do your very best to stay out of the SEC's line of sight when it comes to certain things. One of those things that almost automatically will put you in the category of potentially an unregistered security is the promise of return, right? Investment in a commerce enterprise with a promise of a return. So one of the things that Hex did was showed the growth compared to Bitcoin, and talked about the promise of returns, not just the staking, right? Because the CD is very different, and that is a financial instrument that should be registered. I firmly believe that. So even if Hex is able to move forward, there still needs to be a labeling as it's a CD, and understand there are post-sale obligations with that. So it's a very dangerous thing to just overtly promise or highlight what growth you've done, because you're technically not supposed to be, a driver of that, right? A foundation should not technically, in the SEC's eyes, be a driver of it. Otherwise, there is, this post-sale obligation that comes from a specific entity, right? People feel Richard Hart owes me this return because that's what he put on his website. He associated himself with the website. And you just don't see that with legit projects. It's actually probably one of the few examples I've seen of that. So if you guys see on a website, this much return, huge red flag. Just do not even engage. Not worth it. It's basically asking the SEC, hey, I want to give up a lot of the money that we have here to go through an extensive lawsuit that you're going to bleed me dry on, right? And you don't want to be on the other side of that project. Luckily, with Ripple, they had over $1 billion in the bank, and they actually didn't commit the crime, and have a really good legal staff. But that's not the case for a lot of these projects, guys. They're not going to spend their last dollars defending this project for you. So things to think about. Be careful.
Yes, the Hex website comparing with Bitcoin returns of the last bull run to trick these young kids was a foolish move. And that's all it is. It's a foolish move. And if you are a serious investor, you are obviously not buying an asset like that. So in summary here, team, the purpose of this is you guys irked me, and I wanted to come back with some facts and give you some perspective, because this show we just did is nowhere on YouTube. Guess what? I already checked. These people don't talk about looking internally where you are at and then going externally to, blockchain, looking at cryptos, understanding cryptos. There's no video like this, all right? Because you have to look internally and where you're at. I always say it all the time. When I got into crypto, I got to watch everyone around me fail. Everyone around me failed selling, and I got to learn from that. But it also, within that time, I wasn't really buying crypto. I was waiting it out. It took me months before I started buying crypto seriously. We get birthday money, Maddie, and we throw a little money at crypto. Yep. It took me months before I seriously decided. I made the conscious effort to say, okay, every paycheck I'm getting, this is going to crypto. This is the percentage. And I did that all throughout college. But it took time. And just like I've said before, it took time to get into Zcash. It was only this year where I started taking Zcash seriously, just because of how lucrative the price were, right? And so, team, the purpose here is a lot of you may be in cryptos right now. And I'm telling you right now might not be the best time to sell. But if there are glaring red flags like this, you should probably sell. I'm dead serious. You should probably sell, because these are a lot of red flags. If you get half of these red flags on your looking internally here, if there's red flags within yourself, you need to address those. You need to game plan. You need to up your knowledge base. Do that crypto charged. You need to look at these projects as serious investments, not gambling tools for you to talk shop with on the weekends, but a serious asset class that you're going to make serious money in. But I don't have to tell you that have been around this show for a while, because we take our investing seriously here, and we want you to take your investing serious as well. Team, this was a great show. We didn't have a show on Monday. Maddie was on a bender or whatever, and so we came back on this Wednesday to bring it to you guys, and I hope you got a lot of value here. If you got something valuable, make sure you leave a like down below, and we will see you guys on the next show. Bye.